Hello and welcome back to Racing Roundup, where we talk about all things motorsport. And once again this week we had a very busy weekend, lots of stuff going on. But I'm going to start with a bit of breaking news from the FIA World Rallycross Championship, and I can't believe I'm saying this, three-time reigning champion Johan Kristoffersson has joined EKSJC, the rival team to his KMS Volkswagen team. Yeah, that is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous to hear being announced this morning. They teased it last night. EKS actually put out as their April Fool's joke this year that Kristoffersson was joining the team. That's how ridiculous this is. Like, yeah, that is crazy. No idea why, why he's joined the team, but he has. He will be racing the Audi S1 this year. For the first time, not a Volkswagen Polo as well. Yeah, insane. And that's really going to make this season interesting with the three-time champion back on the grid in a new car. On to Formula 1, and the French Grand Prix took place at Paul Ricard. Before the weekend there was a bit of contract news. Esteban Ocon has re-signed as Alpine until the end of 2024. So that cemented him on the grid for the next few years. And going into the race, going into the weekend, the two Mercedes drivers, Hamilton and Bottas, swapped their chassis. So Bottas was now running Hamilton's old chassis, and Hamilton was running an older Bottas chassis from, I think, last year or something like that. Why? Well, they say it's just a routine swap, but a lot of people think it's because Mercedes are trying to prove a point that there's nothing wrong with Bottas' chassis, which is why he's been so slow in the past few races. But it looks like their theory was disproven at the start of the weekend, especially on Friday, because Hamilton was struggling so much compared to Bottas and just seemingly not having any kind of pace in the car. Throughout the rest of the weekend, though, that was kind of disproven. Hamilton got back up onto pace and in the end was faster than Bottas anyway, so that didn't really go well for Valtteri there. But in qualifying, it was Verstappen on pole position, beating Mercedes at very much their backyard. They've been dominant at Paul Ricard the past few years where they've been racing there. Schumacher got into Q2 for the first time for Haas, albeit by crashing and causing a red flag, meaning nobody else could improve their time. Yuki Tsunoda also had an accident as well in the first qualifying session, but in the race, many people expected the race to be boring as usual, Paul Ricard, but it was actually an incredible race. Lots of strategy, lots of close racing as well, which nobody expected. The top three, Verstappen, Hamilton, Bottas, all following each other really closely and pushing each other flat out for the whole race. It was remarkable to watch. And they ended up being a bit of a reverse on the strategy of Barcelona last year, or this year even, and Hungary in 2019, where it was very close on the limit of a two-stop and a one-stop. Verstappen this time rolled the dice to come in for that extra stop and hunted down Hamilton towards the end of the race and ultimately passed him on the penultimate lap. Bottas not doing much, unfortunately, to help defend from him when he came past. Bottas was very fiery on the radio, saying that nobody was listening to him once again for the strategy. He was all about the two-stop and Mercedes didn't let him come in. So that's further proof of the bridges burning between Bottas and Mercedes, which all adds to the rumours about Russell moving to the team for next year. And to help his cause, he finished in P12 for Williams with no retirements. No retirements to help boost him up the order, so that's an incredible race for Russell. Just proving why he deserves to be in that Mercedes, really. But in the end, it was Verstappen coming home for the win, Hamilton in second, and then Sergio Perez managed to overtake Bottas at the end for third, which means in the championship, Verstappen even, so you get so used to saying Hamilton, Verstappen continues to lead on 131 points from Hamilton on 119, and Sergio Perez further cementing his third place on 84 points. And in the Constructors, Red Bull extend their lead to 215 points over 178 points for Mercedes, and McLaren hold on to third on 110 points. The FIA Formula 3 Championship was once again supporting F1 this weekend at Paul Ricard with the 3 races as usual. In qualifying, it was Mercedes junior Frederick Vesti taking the pole position for the third and final race, but for the first race on the reverse qualifying pole was Callum Williams for the first time, who ended up going on to take his first podium, and not just first podium, but first points of Formula 3, so quite an impressive way to take your first points. It was a huge battle for the win though, in what was actually quite an entertaining race, between Alex Smolia, Victor Martin, Callum Williams, Aimu Iwasa and Logan Sargent, but Iwasa unfortunately given the 5-second penalty, quite harsh I think, overtaking Sargent off the track. But with the way Paul Ricard is, with its track limits and excessive runoff, tarmac runoff, it's quite easy to do. And the way he did it was on the inside. They just happened to be about a car width of tarmac before the wall. Yeah, it's a bit silly, but he was given the 5-second penalty, which dropped him off the podium. But it was Alex Smolia coming home to take home the victory, his second victory of the season. For ART Grand Prix, Victor Martin in second for MP, and then Callum Williams third. Arthur Leclerc drove an incredible race to come home from 30th on the grid to finish P12, an amazing result, and that actually secured him the reverse race pole position for race 2, because he reversed the top 12 positions from race 1 for the race 2 grid. Which meant he started in pole position with Jack Crawford alongside him. Crawford unfortunately stalled at the start, the 16-year-old American, which meant his chances for a win were gone instantly, which meant Arthur Leclerc came home to score his first points and podium and win in Formula 3, even better way to do it, leading home a Prema 1-2 with Dennis Hauck coming home in second and Victor Martin taking a second podium of the weekend in third. And then for the third race on the Sunday morning, it was wet. The rain came down as they were on the grid, needing a last minute change of tyres. As a result, the race was actually delayed slightly because everyone was scrambling to get the wet tyres on. And an entertaining race once again with Jack Doohan coming home to take the victory. His first victory in Formula 3, coming home ahead of Dennis Hauck in second place once again, and Caio Collet for MP Motorsport in third, which means in the Drivers' Championship it is Dennis Hauck leading on 66 points ahead of Victor Martin on 60, and Jack Doohan has now jumped up to third on 58 points. And in the Teams' Championship, Prema unsurprisingly lead on 122, Trident second on 107 points, and MP Motorsport in third on 95. Formula E took to the Mexican city of Puebla, Mexico's fourth largest city, for the CBMM Niobium Puebla E-Prix. There we go. At the Autodromo Miguel E. Abed, a circuit that Vern after the weekend called decomposing. Onto that in a second though. 2 races as always this year with the double headers that we've been having. The first race, Pascal Wehrlein on pole position for Porsche, and was looking set to take the victory and dominated the entire race. In fact, after Oliver Rowland, who was second on the grid, suffered, he had radio problems at the start, which meant he couldn't contact the radio of the team couldn't contact him, the radio just wasn't working. Suffered a dreadful start, obviously some kind of car issue at the start of the race, followed by just lots of different issues coming over the Nissan, and a dreadful race for him. Just everything that went wrong did go wrong. There we go. Also going bad in that first race with Cassidy, Verne and Sam Bird, who all crashed at the exit of the attack mode at turn 8, although Cassidy's one was on the first lap, not attack mode related. Attack mode in this race being a unique Joker lap type loop on the outside of the 8th corner, which was very cool to see, but caused a lot of issues on the exit with drivers filing back out onto the actual circuit, and being in the blind spot, the drivers taking the normal line and just putting them into the wall because they didn't see them. Funnily enough, it was both Mahindras that did it both times. But like I said, it was Verline who came home to take the victory on the road, which would have been both his and Porsche's first victory in Formula E, but was disqualified. Both Porsches and both Nissans were all disqualified for a technical infringement, which was not declaring the tyres used for the race on the technical passport, whether they inputted the wrong tyre, didn't do it at all, or what, I don't know, but that meant they were both disqualified. And it's something we've seen in the past with Formula E, with the technical passports. If something's been inputted incorrectly, that's a disqualification, just because you haven't declared essentially the correct car that you've actually used. And by the letter of the regulation, that means you could technically be cheating if you've used something different than what you've stated that you're going to be using. So it seems harsh, but it makes sense for Verline to be disqualified. Just unfortunate that he happened to win the race, really. That meant it was an Audi 1-2 with Lucas Di Grassi and René Vast coming home second and third on the road, but ended up being first and second at the line, being Di Grassi's first win since Berlin 2019, the Season 3 champion finally getting back onto the top of the podium. This is Vast's, I think, second podium in Formula E, and Edwin Mortar coming home in third for Venturi. He had a very good weekend because in the second race on the Sunday, he came through to take the victory with an amazing drive. He wasn't on pole position, that went to Oliver Rowland, looking to make amends for the dreadful race he had yesterday. He did manage to do so, eventually coming home classified P3, but I'll mention why it's only classified in a bit. Mortar obviously came home to take the win, like I said, his second win in Formula E and his first on the road after he inherited the Hong Kong 2019 victory after Sam Bird was disqualified, or yeah, I think so. I'm going to go with that, Sam Bird. After collision with Andre Lotte, which put him out of the race. I'm going to go with that. But in this race, Verline came home in P2, which, great result to make amends for the disqualification the day before, but came up post-race, bottom right hand of the screen, under investigation, energy overuse, and that's a slam dunk penalty. It ended up actually being a fan boost infraction or fan boost misuse, which cost him a 5-second penalty, which dropped him from second to fourth, which promotes Oliver Rowland up to the podium. He finished fourth on the road, ended up in third classified, with Nick Cassidy coming home in second for Vision Virgin, his first podium in Formula E, which means in the championship it is ridiculously close as always in Formula E, although not at the top, because Edwin Mortara, with that amazing weekend, is now 10 points clear in the championship lead. He jumped from 8th coming into the weekend to the front. He has 72 points, 10 points ahead of Robin Fines, who didn't score any points this weekend but is somehow still second on 62. And then 3 drivers are joint third place on 60 points. Antonio Felix da Costa, René Vast and Mitch Evans all having 60 points. And in the team's championship, Mercedes lead on 113 points. DS Techeetah are second on 110, and Jaguar are third, just 1 point behind on 109 points. The Rev Group Grand Prix signalled IndyCar's return to Road America, and before or going into the weekend, a couple of driver changes thanks to injuries for different drivers. Obviously, Felix Rosenqvist is out after his crash in Detroit, and championship contender Venus VK also was not racing after fracturing his collarbone in a cycling accident in the week running up to the race. That meant at Ecomotor Racing, Oliver Askew ended up moving from McLaren to Ecomotor Racing to replace VK. Why Askew, I don't really know, considering he was there to replace Rosenqvist. But there we go, that happened. But that allowed, that opened the door for one Kevin Magnussen to come into McLaren to make his IndyCar debut. Magnussen returning to McLaren for the first time since 2015. He raced for them in Formula 1 2014 and made the one appearance at the start of the 2015 season, which he did not start thanks to the car's dreadful unreliability. Thankfully he did start this race and actually led a few laps before, unfortunately, having his car expire on him. An electrical failure, the car just shut off. But that gave him flashbacks to 2015 with McLaren breaking down. But nevertheless, a great result really for Magnussen. Jumping into an IndyCar at short notice, with the no power steering and everything, the unique way the IndyCar drives, he did well to do what he did. So great result for Magnussen. It was Joseph Newgarden who took the pole position, and the whole story of the race was really Newgarden versus Alex Palou at the front of the grid, and it all came down to the final few laps, a late race caution and safety car bunched them all up. Newgarden leading Palou with 3 laps to go, and on the restart suddenly Newgarden slowed and relinquished not just the lead but almost every single position. He ended up classified in 21st after a gearbox issue in those final few laps. Absolutely gutting for Newgarden, and a huge blow to his championship hopes, considering Palou at the time was second in the championship. He now leads after taking the win. On the results of the race, they were Palou taking the win for Chip Ganassi, Colton Herta coming home in second for Andretti Autosport, and Will Power finally getting a podium in third for Team Penske. And in the championship, Palou leads, extending his lead now, retaking the lead and extending the lead. 349 points over Patricio O'Ward, who had a sort of meh race. He was there or thereabouts. 321 points for him, the McLaren driver, and Scott Dixon in third for Chip Ganassi on 296 points. DTM finally got their season underway, a new era for the German Touring Car Championship, because they are no longer touring cars, but it's still a touring car championship. They are now racing GT3 cars after the demise of the Class 1 regulations, after they tried to merge DTM and Super GT over in Japan. It just did not happen. It got too expensive and all the manufacturers left, essentially, apart from Audi. Lots of new different manufacturers in this one though, but it's not a manufacturer-based series. They're all privateer teams, but we have the likes of Mercedes on the grid, Audi, Ferrari are joining, Lamborghini have joined. Should see McLaren later on. It looks like a very good grid, with the likes of Alex Albon as well joining as well in a Red Bull. Well, actually he's in an AlphaTauri. Of course Ferrari, and Liam Lawson, Formula 2 driver, in the Red Bull sponsored of course Ferrari, and he had an amazing first race, coming home to take victory on debut. Amazing result. He took victory on debut in Formula 2 and has done so in DTM as well. That surely, in the eyes of Helmut Marko, puts him yards above his Red Bull Junior rivals in Formula 2, Yuri Vips and Johan Darula. Now he's proven he can win in multiple types of machinery. He's not just a high downforce single-seater specialist. He can race and win in GT3 cars. So that's very, very promising for him. Vincent Abel was on pole position with the Mercedes 1, 2, 3, 4. Can't get away from Mercedes dominance, but he came home in second for Team HRT, not the Formula 1 Hispania racing team. This is Haupt's racing team. And then in third was his teammate Maximilian Gotts in the second HRT Mercedes. In the second race, Calvin van der Linde on his debut weekend as well, joining his brother in DTM now, took pole position and came home to take the victory, which is amazing because this was also his 25th birthday. So that's a good birthday present for Calvin. Nico Müller coming home in second for Team Rosberg, and Nico Müller third. Nico Müller second for Team Rosberg, and Lucas Auer coming home in third for Mercedes Team Winwood. Kelvin van der Linde driving for Apps Sportsline. And in the championship, Kelvin van der Linde now leads for Apps on 36 points. Liam Lawson second for Of Course Red Bull Racing on 27 points, and Nico Müller third for Team Rosberg on 22 points. MotoGP returned to the Sachsenring for the German Grand Prix of 2021, and it was for once not Fabio Quartararo on pole position. His streak of poles has been broken by Johan Zarco for Pramac Racing, who ended up taking the pole. Quartararo was second on the grid, but a standout result for Aprilia's Aleix Espargaro. Espargaro, something like that. He came home in third in qualifying, amazing result for him, and actually at the start of the race ended up taking the lead at the first corner, leading the first laps for quite a few years for Aprilia. So that's amazing for Aprilia and Team Gresini to see Espargaro up the order like that. Unfortunately, he could not hold on to that lead. Marc Marquez coming through at the end of the first lap to end up taking the lead, so unfortunately Espargaro didn't end up actually leading a lap, which is a shame, but Marquez ended up taking that lead. Ended up being a battle between him and Miguel Oliveira on the Red Bull KTM bike, Marquez on the Honda of course. But no one could stop Marquez when the rain came down, the tiny bit of drizzle. White flags are actually shown towards the start of the first few stages of the race to say that riders can come in to change their bikes for a flag to flag race if they choose. The rain didn't get that bad though, it stopped quite quickly, so nobody came in. But Marquez, in that slightly damp conditions, just thrashed everyone. And on his 6th race back since his accident at Jerez last year, and 3 surgeries and infections and all sorts of hell that followed, came through to take a remarkable victory. His first since the 2019 season finale. Yeah, he was emotional to say the least. The 6-time world champion in MotoGP. He extends as a result his streak of wins at Germany to I think 11 years now, from going back through Moto3 and Moto2. He's won every single year at Germany since 2010. Obviously, not including 2020 because it didn't happen. So yeah, that is remarkable. His CV around Sachsenring. Just incredible, and it meant a huge result for Honda as well, because they were not looking very good this year. Worrying stuff going into next year, but with that win on the table, that's going to give them a huge boost. Oliveira coming home in second for the KTM Red Bull team, and in third, as always, Fabio Quartararo on the podium. And in the championship, that means Quartararo does extend his championship lead. 131 points now. Johan Zarco, tricky race, is second in the championship on 109 points, and Jack Miller third for Ducati on 100 points. And in the teams championship, Monster Energy Yamaha do lead still on 206 points, ahead of Ducati now on 199 points, and Pramac are third on 136. Supercars took to the Hidden Valley Raceway in the Northern Territory of Australia for the Merlin-Darwin Triple Crown, with the 3 races over the 2 days on the weekend. The first race, Anton De Pasquale for the pole position in the Dick Johnson Racing Ford Mustang. However, at the start of the race, lap 1, turn 1, was taken out by Scott Pye, and a big pile-up ensued, taking out the likes of Todd Hazelwood, Jack Smith, Mark Winterbottom, and Fabian Coulthard, as well as De Pasquale and Scott Pye. As a result, Pye, I think, did apologise to De Pasquale for the incident. It was 100% his fault, so it's good that he did. But that meant Chaz Mostert came through to take the victory, having just re-signed for 2022. So a good way to repay the team for re-signing him for another year for Andretti United. Walkinshaw Andretti United. Cam Waters coming home in second for Tickford Racing, and in third place Nick Percat for Brad Jones Racing. his first podium of the season. In the second and third races, the pole position and the podium positions were identical. Will Davidson on pole position for both races. He ended up coming home in second in both races. Jamie Whincup was third in both races, and Shane Van Gisbergen won in both races. Van Gisbergen, Davidson and Whincup the top three for race 2 and race 3. Which means in the championship, Shane Van Gisbergen for Triple Eight Race Engineering extends his dominant lead he has this season after those 6 wins at the start. 1,361 points for him, ahead of his teammate Whincup on 1,140, and Chaz Mostert for Walkinshaw and Dresser United third on 1,131 points. And in the teams championship, unsurprisingly, Triple Eights are leading on 2,501, with Dick Johnson Racing second on 1,849 points, and Tickford Racing third on 1,808 points. NASCAR returned to Nashville for the first time in 37 years for the Ally 400 at Nashville Superspeedway. Eric Almirola took a surprise pole position, but unfortunately could not hold on to it because the dominant Kyle Larson came through to take a 4th victory in a row. That's including the NASCAR All-Star race, the non-championship race, so no points scored there obviously. But 4 wins in a row, 3 championship wins in a row for Kyle Larson for Hendrick Motorsports. Ross Chastain came home in second place for his first podium in his Cup Series career, so a great result for him. For Chip Ganassi Racing, and in third place Larson's teammate William Byron in third, which means in the championship Byron is indeed still third on 605 points. Kyle Larson second on 676 points, and leading still Denny Hamlin for Jacobs Racing, but now very close, just 10 points ahead on 686 points. Great to see Super Formula back at Sportsland Sugo in Japan, because I believe the circuit was either very close to or was in fact damaged in earthquakes earlier on in the year. But racing was back at the circuit, amazing to see. Yuki Sakaguchi was on the pole position in a very wet session, unfortunately could not hold on to take the victory, because that went to Nirei Fukuzumi, taking his first victory in Super Formula, the former Formula 2 driver for Docomo Team Dandelion. Toshiki Oyu came home in second for TCS Nakajima Racing, and then Sakaguchi coming home in third for Karanex Team Impel, which means in the Drivers' Championship even, Tomoki Nojuri still leads for Team Mugen on 53 points with a sizable advantage over Oyu now on 36 points, and Fukuzumi third now with that win on 34 points. And in the Teams Championship, Team Mugen continued to lead on 57.5 points. Team Dandelion are second on 54, and third Team Impel on 42.5 points. And last but not least, the GTWC GT World Challenge Sprint Series took to Circuit Zandvoort at the coasts of the Netherlands for its second round of the season. Emil Frey had an amazing weekend. They took pole for the first race with the number 14 and held on to take the victory with Alex Fontana and Ricardo Feller in dominant style. Second place, the ACA ASP Mercedes, number 88 of Raffaele Marcello and Timo Boguslavski. And in third, the CMR Bentley 107 car, taking its first podium of the year, I think, with Pierre-Alexandre Jean and Elise Deport, we'll go with that. In the second race, it was the 88 Mercedes on pole position, but could not hold on to take the victory. They had a difficult race, and in the end of the day, it was an Emil Frey Racing 1-2-4, with the number 163 car coming home to take the win, with Albert Costa and Norbert Seider. The number 14 of Fontana and Feller coming home in second, and the Team WRT Audi number 32 car of Dries van Thor and Charles Wirtz in third. And fourth place, shout out to the 114 car Jack Aiken, former Formula 2 driver, coming home in fourth with his teammate Constant Lapalainen, which means in the championship it is Emil Frey, number 14 of Alex Fontana and Ricardo Feller leading, This is the Sprint Series Championship, not the overall championship. The Team WRT Audi second, the number 32 car of Dries van Thor and Charles Weerts, and then the 88 Mercedes of Raffaele Marcello and Timo Bogoslawski in third. And the Team Championship, unsurprisingly, Emil Frey Racing are now up to the joint lead on 49 points, with Team WRT and ACA ASB just behind in third on 37.5 points. And that is it for this week. Lots of racing going on this week and lots of racing going on next week. We've got the Styrian Grand Prix for Formula 1 at the Red Bull Ring in Austria. W Series will be supporting that for the first time, with the first race since Brands Hatch in 2019. BTCC is back at Brands Hatch Indy. Speaking of Brands Hatch, British GT have their Silverstone 500 flagship event, 3 hours at Silverstone. World Rally returned to Kenya for the Safari Rally of Kenya for the first time in a long time. The Dutch Grand Prix is happening for MotoGP. IMSA returns to Watkins Glen for the 6 hours of the Glen, and NASCAR returns to Pocono Raceway. So lots of stuff going on. Can't wait for it really. As always, thank you very much for watching. I will try and get this out today. I normally try to get the videos out on the day of filming, which is Tuesday today. But I'm off for my first COVID-19 vaccine later, so we'll see whether I end up getting it out or not. I'll try to, but it may be tomorrow, we'll find out. But thank you very much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day, enjoy the rest of your week. Like, comment, subscribe. We always have to say that, of course, as a YouTuber. But thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Goodbye.